All right, I appreciate everybody being here. This is Craig, WJ6F, and with me we have Steve from Alpha Antenna, the brains behind the whole system of Alpha. What I
Hello,
am
everybody.
curious about before we get going, where did the name Alpha come from, and how did you get started creating these antennas?
Well, it was 1979 when I first started, and that was a day in my youth. But that's an entire story of its own. Basically, Alpha meant new beginnings, which came to be after I was in a silent wreck. It just seemed silent to me. It was a head-on collision with a semi-truck. And then for a year, I did recovery and rehabilitation. So during that time, I thought about doing antenna systems because amateur radio was there for me during those times. It was nice that, that amateur radio was there for me, and I wanted to give something back. And so, in the beginning, it was the Alpha that hit me as the best name, best symbol that represented my new beginnings. Everything started over for me. And so a few years later, there was a devastating tornado that hit my grandparents' town in Greensburg, wiped out 85 to 90% of the infrastructure. And that's when I came to the realization that communication saves lives. Before that, it was pretty much a hobby. And after that event, lives were changed in my family. So that's where Alpha came from. It really was new beginnings several times, and it stuck. And then we went out and registered the name and the patents and everything else that goes along with our products over the last 15 years.
Outstanding. I wanted to point out we have Steve, Good Game Ham Radio and Outdoors. Appreciate the donation. He uses your antennas. He's a school teacher, and he helps get youngsters licensed, and he uses some of your antennas to get them going in that direction.
Yes, we do provide donations out to different entities. I won't go through the list, but at the end of each year, we have funds that are left, and we use that to fund some of the donations that we do throughout the following year. So that's part of our giving back. One of the things that we're now starting to do is we're developing a fund for a scholarship program. And so more details will be rolled out later on that as well.
Alrighty. So you have a couple antennas that intrigue me since I am held captive behind an HOA. So I'm really liking this one that you have here. I'll bring it up on the screen. It uses the rain gutters.
Oh, yes. Yes. In the club, I belong to the Raytown Amateur Radio Club. There was a lot of times there was discussion about using gutters, and a lot of people will go out and get a 9-to-1 Unan, or they'll get some other impedance matching network to help bring down the SWRs on the gutters. A lot of them would lay out radials or counterpoise. It was a little bit of a delayed product, you might say, an idea that floated around in my mind for quite a few number of years. So after we had sat down and tested our matching network with a lot of the different gutters available to me, we found out that yes, indeed, it did work. And then one phone call from a customer told me it worked on 160. It was hard to believe even for myself. So we put it out there for the test, and we put it out there on, just on the air to see what would happen. For the test, we usually use like this AIM 4300, and then in the field, that's like in the lab, we'll use it. And then in the field, we'll use these Rig Experts. This is the 1000 series. So a lot of different things that we use. We have the MFJ analyzers, the Comet analyzer as well. But mainly in the lab, we'll hook the computer up to this 4300. So, yeah.
I've noticed over the past few years there has been quite a transformation in how the antennas are built. Considering when I first started with your antennas was with the vertical that was like a T format. You had the
Oh, right.
coax outside, and then I had your original loop antenna, which was a bunch of hinged aluminum pieces.
Yes, yes. Those were the beginning days. We had a base-fed vertical, and that was on an impedance matching network. So it worked okay. Then we had the aluminum loop that would go from one section to the next with another piece of aluminum till it finally got down to the capacitor that you tune it with. Well, on the vertical that was base fed, we found it was better to go with an off-center fed dipole design so that both sides of the antenna are there. Well, yeah, obvious, but we learned 10, 12 years ago that a balanced system is a better system. So now we have both sides of the equation balancing the systems that we develop. Yeah, so a little bit of evolutionary change, but all for the better.
Now, one of your portable systems, which seems to have really gotten industrial, is this one here that looks like it has a surveyor's tripod with it.
Yes.
A couple counterpoises.
Yeah. There is a history behind that tripod. It started out as a surveyor's tripod that's built for us by a company, U.S. company, obviously. Well, maybe I should say not obviously. We try very, very hard to source all product components, even raw materials that they're made out of, from the United States. Not always possible, but we try to. So we found this company that was building these surveyor tripods, contacted them and said, hey, we need the following thread counts, some of the stuff they were able to do. Other stuff we had to go ahead and bring in and build it on our CNC machines in-house. But with a combined effort, we're able to take that tripod, put it in that bag with all of those components you see there, and provide a 6 through 80 meter HF antenna system. Yeah, a lot of time and effort went into this one. There is one grounded counterpoise that completes the circuit. And then the other wire element there that you see is an active element. And then you have your vertical mill stick whip that is also an active element. So you have both the vertical and the horizontal wire that connect to form a V. And that has two different functions for that antenna, also making it directional in the opposite direction of that what we call NVIS element. The signal will go in the opposite direction. Acts as a reflector towards the grounded counterpoise that's installed at 180 degrees from that NVIS element. So in the end, you get an antenna system that sort of looks like that. Vertical NVIS with a ground that goes off the other side. Takes about 5 minutes to deploy. Sounds a lot more difficult than it is. If it takes you 10 minutes to deploy it, you probably did it wrong. So let's talk. We're always here and available, either on our toll-free number or at our email or through our website through the contact page. Also available through all the other social media means. Sometimes it's a wild game trying to keep up with all of those contact methods.
That's one thing I can honestly say is that your customer service is bar none. I foolishly did not Gaia antenna properly back in the old days in easy military, and gust of wind came, and it happened during the shooting of the video that I'm on the parking garage at the train station. And it hit the ground, something was rolling around, and you said, no problem, send it back, took care of it, sent it right back to me. It was a great turnaround, and it worked flawlessly ever since.
That was a long time
ago. Really
ago.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do
really
remember
appreciate that customer service.
Well, no worries. Yeah, that's what we're here for. Is the only thing that we're here for is just to serve others, and if we can do the good job at that, I can sleep better at night. If I don't sleep well at night, and I contact the person the next morning. If you've not received the service you need, let me know. If you need a different product, let us know. Don't think you're ever stuck with one antenna system. If it's within a reasonable amount of time, bring it on back to us and ask for a different one. we do have a lot of varieties.
Yeah, I notice you're also have been since the beginning big on mobile antennas. I know I used to use one, and what amazed me is a friend of mine that lives out here in Orange County. He and I both had the old FT857s in our cars, and we had the Alpha 120. Not the Alpha, excuse me, the ATOS 120 Alpha. Well, that day I had
the ATOS
easy
120 screwdriver antenna. Yes.
Yeah, he was using his. I took mine off and put your original mobile antenna on, and was amazed at how much better it could hear. And I also liked the fact that I could take off the whip antenna like you see on the screen and throw on your, what were they at the time? 13 to 25 foot length whip. And how
13
great
foot
that
whips.
was. The
Yeah,
13,
13 foot whip. It's basically like having a base antenna on a mobile. You just change the whip out on this particular match. Yeah, that match is this one here. It's a 316 stainless steel housing, and then an inductor is put inside, and around the inductor there's a like a tar paper basically, and so that inductance is kept away from this housing, but that separation provides a capacitive effect. So we've got some balance here for both inductance and capacitance inside the match. So yeah, it's come a long way since the original design, and I'll show you a future design too. So this is what we have now. It is a tight fit for a lot of things, and a lot of people know on that mobile antenna you need a tuner. Now, in probably 2022, this entire component here is a solid state matching network. You can see the difference here. And that solid state matching network will make it so that you don't need a tuner even in the mobile. So a lot of changes, additional things that we're working on. That's just one of them.
Yeah, now how do these work? Because we got Good Game here. He's wanting to know about something to fold up for a camper. Any suggestions on that?
So on the campers, the mobile antenna like that is a good choice, because on the mobile install you can use that match, and then you can use the fold up sectional whip to go right on the top of it. And so that fold up sectional whip here can replace that mobile whip. I mean, you could literally use any type of whip. You could use a like this stainless steel whip if you would like on top of this, and you know, it's very small. This one here we do have custom built. It has let's see here, where's the camera? Yeah, alpha antenna laser engraved on it. We also went with a milled base on this one rather than a crimped base. It's also a stainless steel. The other is a mill stick whip, much more resilient. It bends like a rainbow and it won't break. The telescopic whips, once they break, they're broke. But they're a little less money also.
One question I had, if I can pry, do you do anything for the military itself, not just veterans themselves, but military type contracts or law enforcement contracts or anything of that nature?
One of the contracts that expired that we can talk about was for this system here. This is a HF mobile system that we built, has the NATO mount and all. And so that system is a 1.8 through 54 megahertz military system. That's one contract. We do have the cage codes and the contracts where we've been the subcontractor. We've also got cage code there, the same cage code used on several military contracts where we were the prime as well. But when we're the sub, you don't see like the purchase underneath our cage code. That's why I draw the distinction. Oh, another antenna. Almost forgot about it. It's huge. So let me get back here. Oh, that was pretty big too. But this one here is a log periodic dipole array. It's a jamming system. So this is a broadband from about 156 megahertz to about 980 megahertz. So this can be used to for broadband jamming equipment. It's also resonant as a log periodic dipole array on the ham bands, and very expensive option though. Maybe not in these days. It seems inflation has caught up with the price of those in some scenarios. So that's a log periodic dipole array that's hurricane rated, and so that was in Puerto Rico also, and that one survived, and it's pretty cool. This here is there's a quick disconnect system on it. So on the actual element, it just screws and unscrews so that when you break it down, it's just the whole thing in a bag. So, yeah, pretty cool. I like it.
I noticed you have another one that helps those of us behind the HOA curtains, and that's the, since it's Memorial Day, might as well show this too, the flagpole antennas.
Yes, those flagpole antennas. So, yeah, the antenna system is interesting in as much as this part of it. The difficult thing was actually developing, and we build them here in-house, the components that hold the flag onto the top of the mast in a way that it will spin and not furl around the actual antenna mast. So it's an anti-furl mechanism that we developed and that we mill and build here in-house. So yeah, built in the USA. Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't outsource anything to foreign countries, do you? It's all built here in the US?
There are connectors that, well, there's an interesting story. So we did get some connectors that were made in the US and they were awful. And so we did have to go and source some T connectors offshore. We can't find some of those types of things. But for the most part, like this housing, well, here we go with a new developed product that's going to come out. Everybody's been asking for this. This is the remote control for the magnetic loops. This housing, I found the housing made in the US. Oh my gosh, that was a good day. Actually, it's local to me. Yeah, and so these little components here, we actually print this 3D thing here, and we print the little 3D knobs, and so that. But there's some components you don't know where they're from, like this DC power jack, and then this remote control cable connector. A little closer there. So yeah, this is the remote control that we're developing, and it has a speed control on it, and then it has up frequencies and go down on the frequency for the magnetic loops. So that's one thing that we have coming. I almost forgot about this is another military project. This here is a dual core, and you can build 4-to-1s, you can build Unnans, Ballons with these, and depending on what is needed for that specific contract, we build these for that purpose. 5 kilowatt is the rating on that. So a few people have asked us for some higher powered systems, and it's a challenge. We're not a big business. We are considered a small business in all technical terms of the game. So in industry, rolling out a new product is most challenging when you try to source the parts. Yeah, we can build 1 or 2 or 5 or 20, but when we start looking at, okay, we need 200, we need 500, and we need to do this year after year, it becomes a marriage between companies where you say, you source your parts, and how long have you been in business? What's your financial stability? We make those determinations before we actually go into business with other companies as our source partners.
Yeah, you mentioned loops, and if there's one thing I've noticed, you have no shortage on the loops here. I mean, seeing on your website just 5 of them, and I know you've had other ones in the past that have been profiled on different YouTube videos, sure. And mine as well, yes. Especially this 100-watt one.
Yes, we were able to design it perfectly. That's why it's 100 watts. before the perfections in each component were made, you found that only about 30 watts or so could be pushed into these magnetic loops. Well, what you see on the screen here is the top left is our base loop with the remote control and with the gray background. And then the three directly to the right of it, that's the same loop, just with different options. That one there that you've clicked on is the base loop. It has a 10 through 40 meter range at 100 watts and remote controlled. It's out there on the mast over at one of our employees' homes. He took that photo one night. He's a photographer in second trade, but he also is full-time here. The other three loops on the right there, there's a 10 through 80 meter loop in the center, and then there's the 10 through 40 meter loop with the tripod, and there's a bag that you can get, and then that last one is just the basic loop. If you have tripods, if you have bags, that one might be the one you want. If you don't have suitable hardware to mount these on, we do provide that as a package deal. There at the bottom then, so basically you see three loops here. There at the bottom there is Icom's loop. It's one that Icom came to us with the specs, and they said, hey, let's have you build us a loop. Can you do that? And build a lot of them. Well, I already knew that we could build a lot of them. We have two buildings here that one's 2,000 square foot, the other's 4,000 square foot. And almost 100% of it is production area. And we have about another 500 square foot that's laboratory and another 500 square foot that's just offices. That there is the enhancement kit. The actual, so this is the Icom loop here that is the manufactured by Alpha Antenna. It's the AL705 as is known. It does 7 through 29.7 megahertz. It comes with everything inside this little bag. So we wanted to provide some additional capabilities, enhanced capabilities for this particular loop. Mainly because we knew that maybe people would want a tripod for it, or they would want to have some mount to put their rig on, or even coaxial. One of the things that we find is sometimes people just want a one-stop location they can go to for all the accessories. And on this particular thing, we did that. So let me turn around here for just a second. This here is the AL705 loop. This here right below it is the IC705. This whole thing is mounted on the tripod that's optional. And right here, if I turn this, you'll notice this bracket here. You mount everything on the tripod. This little jumper then connects to the feed loop up at the top. All right. So we've got that entire additional kit, which includes a tripod mount adapter where the loop just snaps onto this tripod mount, and you can buy these separate components individually and use your own tripod, or you can buy them all together and have this entire setup. On the top of the Icom rig, I have these small components. This is a reduction drive. It's 3 times the outer diameter of the default knob, so it enables a easier tuning. We then have what we call tune spacers. Now this particular tune spacer, we build in our 3D printer. We have a bank of about half a dozen of them. And this one here is used when you install 80 meters on this antenna with a booster cable. Now the booster cable is like this, and it forms a triple loop when installed in series with this with this particular default loop that's already on here. It's a great addition because you could use just this loop and increase. Okay, so let me state this correctly. You could just use this booster cable in lieu of this default outer loop. If you did that, you would increase efficiency by 45% using this larger loop in a double loop configuration. It's a pretty simple instruction set that we send. It's one page, and there's a lot of videos on how to do it now too. It's becoming a very popular system.
Well, we're starting to run out of time. I'm going to bring Jason in here to talk about what he's got coming up next from Ham Radio TV. So take it away, Jason. What you got coming up?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent, welcome. This is my my secondary camera, so it might be, I look a little jittery. But yeah, we're getting ready to move over to Ham Radio TV, my YouTube channel. We're gonna do some remote simplex up on top of Mount Vaca here in Northern California where I live. And Mount Vaca is a summit on the air. So I got two guys, they went up a 50-foot tower, and we're gonna have some fun for about 30 minutes. I've been monitoring simplex 146520, of course, the national calling frequency. And it's pretty busy this morning, so hopefully we don't anger too many people, because I don't know if you've ever experienced that. You get up on top of a mountain, and and everyone wants to call. But great presentation on the alpha antennas.
All righty. Well, I greatly appreciate it, Jason. We look forward to what you got going on, and I will definitely slide on over there once I'm done here in a couple of minutes. In conclusion, Steve, I can't thank you enough for coming on here. I know I've known you a long time and really appreciate all the efforts and things you've done for hams across the globe and all the new innovative stuff that you keep coming out with year after year. I know it is not an easy task.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to give everybody, this is a first. Nobody's seen this yet. Everybody knows about our bags, but the pocket here in the front of the bag, we made it so it's padded, and your rigs can go in the front. That's an Elecraft KX3. It fits. The Yaesu 817, it fits in the padded bag. And yes, the 705 will fit in the front of the padded bag. These bags, it's what our 100-watt magnetic loops by default come in. So that's a first. Nobody's seen that before. But when you buy, have those things built custom, you got to buy 1,000 of them. And little lady here in town does a great job for us.
Well, I greatly appreciate everything and showing the new bag. I know I still use several of your bags, and I've probably got quite the collection of tripods from you sitting around here in the garage. And they just don't wear out. They just keep on going. Doesn't matter. I mean, whoever that little lady is that's making them bags is doing it right. They're lasting year after year.
I'll let her know.
So I really appreciate it, and I'm going to start winding down here so Jason can take off and do his next video.
All right. Well, everybody have a great day, and let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to email us at alphaantenna@gmail.com, and have a blessed day.
We appreciate it. You have a good one. I can't thank all of you enough for sticking with this and watching the show. And I'm going to sign off now so that Jason can start showing his stuff. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great one.